Hi Scorpio, and welcome to your reading for May 2019. My name is Melanie. This is a general reading for Scorpio Sun, Moon and Rising sign people. So just take what you like and leave the rest. Of course it may resonate or it may not. So diving right into the reading, I use 5 cards for a monthly spread. The first card being about the past energies which may be relevant this month. You guys have the Queen of Wands card. The second card there representing current issues, current situation in the month of May. The card that came through there is the King of Cups. The third card representing any possible obstacles that may show up this month. The Eight of Swords card you have. The fourth card along being any possible helpful tools that may be of use this month. The Seven of Swords card. And the outcome card for the month is the Three of Pentacles. And that card lying down there representing kind of the overall theme for the month for Scorpios. The card that came through for you guys is called Lightning, and that's all about change. And I'll be reading about that card towards the end of the reading, and we'll see if it ties everything all together. So starting with the first card representing past energy and something that you may have been working on or dealing with in the past that is somehow related to the current month of May. So you have the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is Wands as a suit of creative energies, lots of passion, matters of the soul, energy, fire, motivation, fire signs. Leo, Aries, Sagittarius could represent a person, female fire sign, but otherwise it more likely represents the energy of this card and something that you are working on who is like this. So who is this queen? She is a social butterfly. She's very friendly, very charming, very exuberant, magnetic. You know, she draws people to her by her warmth, vibrancy, her determination. She's very strong. She's very courageous. She's good at putting herself out there, making connections, in particular connections to achieve your own creative goals or creative visions. She's about putting yourself out there to meet new people, to make a good impression on other people about yourself, and giving them a sort of sense of confidence about you. She's about meeting people from your tribe, having a sense of met people that really get you. I suspect in a sort of creative kind of way. You've perhaps been working on something, trying to problem solve something creatively, and you are wanting to build or create something. There's a sense of fertility about the Queen of Wands, but she's kind of missing some parts, and she's not like the Empress where she fully represents fertility and the growth of something new, but she wants that, but she's not quite there yet. We can see in the card itself there's a black cat that sits sort of at her feet on the ground there. The cat represents the shadow side of yourself, and that's not necessarily bad parts about yourself. It's just aspects of yourself which you hide away from other people. Maybe you even hide away from yourself. So potentially in the past you've been working on this. You've been willing to share parts of yourself with a person or people around you, or acknowledge those parts within yourself. Perhaps you've been using them to work on something creatively, you know, getting in touch with those darker sides of ourselves and expressing them more openly, which makes you a much more real and authentic kind of person. So it looks like there's you've perhaps been working on something creatively in the past. You've met people or made an impression on people. You've been hanging out with your tribe. You're feeling quite strong and confident in this area of your life, or whatever this has been. You have got to a stage of feeling quite self-aware, quite sort of actualized. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. You can see the Queen there sitting on her throne, holding that wand in one hand, holding a sunflower in the other. Behind her is there sort of looks like sort of pyramids in one side and perhaps clouds on the other. So she's sort of on higher ground, and maybe she's traveled to foreign countries, or she's thinking about that. She's looking over to her left, perhaps looking behind her, looking at something to do with her past. We can see that too with the next card along there, the King of Cups card, and he represents the current month and current energy of the month of May. So kings, as opposed to the Queen. The Queen is also sort of a leader. She embodies the feminine energies of a leader. The King of Cups is the is a masculine element of a suit, a leader, an authority figure, fathers, bosses, people, men typically, but any gender who take responsibility, who are quite wise, and they have the final word. The king over his domain, over his kingdom. The Cups suit is about feelings, emotions, relationships, connections, friendships. We can see this king sitting on his throne, and surrounding him is water that looks very wavy, a bit rough. There's a ship right in the background, behind him, sailing on these rough waters, but he's sitting above all that. The King of Cups is very composed emotionally. He's in touch with his feelings, but he has a degree of emotional balance and control. He's very generous. He knows how to ride those emotional waves very calmly. He's quite in touch with his feminine and emotional side. He's very at ease with his feelings. As I mentioned with the Queen of Wands, the King, any of the court cards could represent a person in your life. It could be, a male or not, and it could possibly be someone who's a water sign. The cups are about the water signs being Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or of course this could just be about energy, and an experience you're having this month, which is you feeling quite balanced and emotionally composed this month in your life. You're being challenged to be patient, and I think you're going to be able to do that. The King of Cups is a artistic, potentially artistic kind of person, poetic, liberal, possibly a person who is or embodies the energy of someone who's religious, involved in legal matters or business matters. The main feel with the King of Cups though is about balance and looking at balancing up the pros and cons of what you are doing in your life right now. It's a reminder to listen to your intuition, to maintain your composure. If necessary, seek counsel from someone wiser than you who is emotionally composed if you are struggling with that. But it looks like you're going to be able to ride the emotional waves this month, which is going to be important, because if we see the next card along, the third card representing possible obstacles that may show up this month, you have the Eight of Swords card. So this card is about sort of self-imposed restriction and isolation. We see in that card the woman is bound. She has ropes around her and she has a blindfold on. She is feeling like a victim. She's feeling trapped. She's feeling very stuck in her own head. She's not realizing that she can free herself from this state. All she has to do is loosen herself from that rope, take off her blindfold and get a different perspective on something. So be wary this month of being too introverted, too much in your own head, getting fixated on possible obstacles that may be in the way and limitations that you feel are going on around you, but more likely they're going on inside you and in your head. Your own fears and doubts potentially can hold you back this month. So it's really interesting because you have the King of Cups energy there is a core theme this month. You're being able to ride those emotional waves. On the flip side though, mentally there is a risk here that you're getting stuck in your own head, and you're not trusting yourself. You're not thinking clearly. Your perspective is quite narrow and based on some faulty thinking, I would say. And you need to take responsibility for that and for yourself. Get out of your head, free yourself a bit, maybe seek some counselling and support. That King of Cups can represent that as well, like I said, to help free you a bit from your own head, your own internal criticism, and whatever that's blocking you from getting to a goal that you have. In that Eight of Swords card, in the distance right up on a hill is a castle that can represent a goal or something that you're moving towards, that you want to work towards, an ambition that you have, but you're stopping yourself in some way. What may be useful though this month, moving on to the fourth card there, we have the Seven of Swords card. Seven of Swords can be about, it can have a few different meanings. We can see the guy in this card. He's sneaking away. He's looking behind him. Note that he's looking in the same direction that the Queen and the King are, to his left. Looking behind him, sneaking off with 5 swords and leaving 2 behind. So we could interpret this card as, you know, being about treachery, being cunning, deception, stealth, being taken advantage of, watching your back, trying to escape from a difficult situation, being manipulated or manipulating, but it kind of backfires, right? So, or we can interpret this card, and because this is in a position of what may be useful this month, perhaps a better way to interpret this card for this month for you guys is about going your own way. Breaking free, which we see is applicable in terms of the Eight of Swords card there. Breaking free of something, perhaps breaking free of potentially a group ideals, or whether that's a work group, a family group, friends, anything like that, that you're embedded in or you're working within, and they have very fixed ideas about ways to do things, and you don't agree with it, and you're feeling a bit maybe tormented by that mentally. This Seven of Swords card is saying you want to be a bit selfish, and perhaps you need to grab what you can, what you think is right, and you need to go off. Perhaps you need to speak up about, swords are about communication, words, thinking, thoughts, ideas, beliefs. Maybe you need to speak up about this. Maybe this card potentially can also be about, in terms of communication, speaking out. So writing something, publishing something, to get across your idea. It's a card about being wary of not getting stuck in that lack mentality, like there's not enough to go around, so I'm frantically going to take what I can and rush off and sneak off. There's always enough. So remember that. Don't forget that. Trust that. Get back in touch with that kind of faith that we all have, because I think with the Eight of Swords card there next to it too, there's a sense of lacking faith. There's a sense of fear going on, and we can kind of see that too in the Seven of Swords card. But given that it's about in the position of something that may be useful this month, perhaps this one is less about fear and just kind of taking what you intuitively know you need, and walking away with that. Be wary of not taking on too much. This guy's holding a lot of swords because he's worried that he's going to miss out. He's fearful, that is not going to be enough, so he's having to be sneaky and to get what he wants. But remember that the more you obsess about what you don't have, you're actually giving energy to that, and potentially creating the very thing that you fear. So like I said, the more you're able to let go and just trust that process and move into that King of Cups energy, very calm, riding those waves of fear, perhaps, looking above it all, and just having this quiet faith and strength in yourself, you may well get a better outcome than being stuck in your own head or having to do sort of sneaky things, although it does suggest that you perhaps need to be a little bit selfish this month to get what you want. Interestingly, with that final card, the outcome card, there's the Three of Pentacles. Note that we have just separately, we have, these are all minor arcana cards, very much a theme this month for most of some of the signs. And you've got a card here from every suit: the Pentacles, the Swords, the Cups, and the Wands. Of course, we have two swords, so a lot of thinking kind of going on there. With the Three of Pentacles, this is about teamwork. It is about a group project. So whatever there's some perhaps creative thing that you have been working on in some way, perhaps with that Queen of Wands energy, here we see it at the end. Perhaps with that Seven of Swords card, though, you have an urge to go your own way about something. This card, this Three of Pentacles, though, as an outcome card, is suggesting that there is a group project, there is some collaboration, there's some teamwork going on. It's in the planning stages of whatever this is. There has been some good progress made on a project, a good foundation laid. You're all heading in the right direction, but you've still got a way to go, and you need to keep going. This is a card about sort of people coming together to do what's necessary to reach a goal, using expertise, using craftsmanship, using skill and mastery to accomplish something, being willing and able to work together to share and combine resources. Sometimes this card does show up when you're having to work with people that you don't want to work with, where the union is not very easy, and there is needing to be a degree of compromise and needing to plan out how that's going to go. Obviously, cooperation, communication, being mature about that will help come to an agreeable solution about something. Finally, the card laying down there representing the overall theme for the month. What I do is I read from the book that came along with these cards. I usually use these cards as kind of like oracle cards from the Dreamtime Reading Cards set. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system. I just love these cards. They're visually really beautiful, and I love the word and meaning behind each card. So lightning, change. Australia is a country of elemental extremes. We experience periods of drought and flooding. Often summer brings severe thunderstorms with magnificent flashes of lightning and quite often hail as well. These storms come with very little warning, seeming to spring from nowhere. Lightning, spectacular as it is, can also be deadly. In Australia's harsh climate, it often sparks bushfires that burn destructively through the undergrowth, devastating flora and fauna. Lightning represents change, the kind of sudden change that can easily catch you off guard. Lightning strikes with power and precision, and it can change everything it strikes in a second. It often symbolises a change you don't see coming. Lightning isn't always negative though. It also provides flashes of inspiration and creativity as it lights up the storm clouds around it. It can offer clarity in the midst of a personal storm. Lightning asks you to use your own personal power wisely. I think that's that Seven of Swords card there. You use your energy and your ideas wisely. And we see the wisdom in the King of Cups there, and even in the Queen of Wands. These are people at the top. They're rulers, so they're in a position of wisdom, masculine wisdom and feminine wisdom. So use your personal power wisely to ensure you direct your own energy where it's needed most, and to use the flashes of inspiration and creativity when they become available to create things of beauty and purpose. Power is not something you should use to harm another, inflict pain, or dominate those around you. Lightning asks you to be sure your motives come from a good and positive place. So whatever it is that you are working on this month or have worked on, there is this, looks like these flashes of inspiration and creativity that are coming in, but also some unexpected change, which you are struggling with perhaps. And if this is some sort of group project and you're wanting to go your own way, be careful of not harming other people in the process to do that. Yes, be true to yourself, but also just don't be a dick, basically. So on that note, Scorpio, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching or listening, or both, to this reading for May. I hope it's been of use to you. I'm very grateful you've given it your time and attention. Have a wonderful May, and hopefully I'll see you back in June.